Okay, hello everyone. I hope you can hear me all right. Please put a note in the chat session if you can't. I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Andrea Zens. I'm a product manager here at Standard Imaging. Just to tell you a little bit about myself, I've been with the company, I'm in my 15th year with Standard Imaging. Started out in sales support, then US direct sales, then our strategic account sales, and I'm now in product management, responsible for QA pilot, stereotactic, brachytherapy, and our QA stereo checker products. So that's just a little bit about me. So hang on, I want to minimize this. So this one. All right. So one of the things wanted to show you is the people that make our company great. These are a bunch of my colleagues, not all of them, but certainly represents our diverse community. And it's really important to express why we come to work every day, which is, really we care about cancer patients, whether they be our members of our family or friends, and we want to make things better in the world of cancer treatment. So we're proud to be a leader manufacturer of radiation calibration quality assurance instruments. We enjoy partnering with you, our customers. That is Standard Imaging. Little bit of housekeeping stuff. Today's webinar is being recorded, so those of you who are attending will get a recording in case you need or want to share that with colleagues. And for those that who registered but didn't get to attend, they'll be provided with a recording as well. If you have any questions, please enter them in the dialog box, and I will answer those at the end of my presentation. And just a little bit about Standard Imaging now that you've heard about me. We're based in Middleton, Wisconsin. Yes, that picture is today's weather. Sorry to say, woke up to a temperature of 0 today. We were founded just over 30 years ago. And basically most of you probably know us for our well chamber and electrometer. Those are the two products that really launched the company. We have, of course, grown over those 30 years to meet the ever-changing challenges of the medical physics community to today, where we have a full suite of QA products for radiation therapy. As I mentioned just a few of the things that are in my portfolio, and of course, that is not everybody. I just represent a portion of it. So today we're going to talk about QA Pilot, which is a QA management system. And as you are all well aware, as physicists, you have a ton. You just have so many tasks that need to be accomplished on a daily basis. And how are you actually managing that? Probably well or not necessarily so well. So what can QA Pilot do to help make your facility's radiation therapy QA management better? We offer efficiency by streamlining communication and helping you standardize operations to fit your facility's needs. We use a secure Amazon web server to store our data. It's great because it is secure with triple encryption. They guarantee 99.99999% uptime. It is a great way to do it. As long as you have access to the web, you have access to your data. Compliance, making it simple to demonstrate to compliance with recommendations and regulations by putting all your data and documents in one easy location so it's at your fingertips. An auditor comes in, you can utilize QA Pilot to direct them to one place, your hub of QA, documentation and data and reporting, and then they don't have to go digging in binders anymore. Accountability, we make oversight and review of your QA processes and tasks easier with dashboard summary, email alerts, trending and reporting. And something that is quite important is we are vendor neutral. You can import your data from a variety of QA products, not just Standard Imaging products. And that really is important given that you and your departments have chosen what you consider to be the best QA to get the task done. And that may not necessarily always be our product, although you should consider it. We want to be able to accommodate you no matter what QA you have. Excuse me, I have somewhat of a cold here. Why is that showing? Okay, So QA Pilot, like I quickly mentioned, is a web-based software. We offer it as software as a service. And what does that actually mean for your facility? It means that you will have lower entry costs. There is no software package that must be purchased. It is priced per room, and we support both Linacs, CyberKnife, for example, or C-arm Linacs, HDR rooms, CT rooms, and with our customizable tests, you may be able to do others, but it is charged per room. There are lower maintenance costs because, again, you're not investing in any hardware to support this. The footprint of service is minimal, and we reduce your time and expense in having to install any software updates on physical computers or things like that. Lower hardware costs. Again, it's a web browser based service, so eliminating the need for hardware or computers with advanced graphics or calculation abilities. Those things can get mighty pricey mighty quick. Scalability, I think this is hugely important to you, whether you are a single Linac, a standalone facility, or a large group of centers. You can expand and scale the use of QA Pilot to your needs. Or if you're installing a second Linac, then you only add that second room at that time of going live. It just helps manage things a lot better. You do it as it is best fits your location. And like I said, your improved operational performance, you streamline some of your operational training costs, you improve in communication. Anything that helps you get that answer faster is certainly important to keep the patients flowing through your department well. And we also use, of course, the HIPAA compliant web communication. That is always important to you as well. Oops. So what does QA Pilot mean for you? Well, this is basically that list that I first showed of what you have to accomplish in any given day, minus anything that has to do with patient QA. QA Pilot is really about the machine QA and the devices that you use to perform those QA functions. So management with QA Pilot can be certainly strenuous, multiple binders, a lot of handwritten and calced. Where do you keep all of your data? We help you juggle those multitude of tasks in the QA management system. So let's take a look at what that software actually is. Well, why won't it let me escape? Okay. So like I said, we're here on a web service. What you'll see on the left is your main menu in blue. I'm going to go through this as a high-level overview of the product. There are just too many details to be able to put in this short webinar. So if you see things that entice you or that you want to know more about, I highly encourage you to reach out to your local sales representative and schedule a webinar. We'll get into many more details on a one-on-one or a small group webinar. So the order of operations here in the menu is focused on what are you going to be looking at most frequently, most often. But some of the big meat of the things that you're going to want to do as a physicist are handled down here in the manage section. But we'll go over the first three here: schedules, review, and reports. The schedules, as you see right here, we have this demo at least set up to reflect 2 cancer centers, one with just one Linac, one with multiple rooms. You set up your QA schedules, and on any of these you have a play button, which is where you're going to perform. That's going to be a combination of potentially importing data from a device, as well as inputting pass-fail or putting in entering numbers. You have a chance to go to the reports right here, and you also have a chance to click on trending and get some trending information based on the input you've taken over time. If we go into the schedules and we say we want to perform QA, just to give you a quick sight what that looks like, here in the gray section are the sub menus from that blue list. What do we have here? We have a bunch of dosimetry functions, safety, et cetera, and information here. So our X-ray constancy, you'll generally be pulling that in from the QA Beam Checker Plus, or potentially Sun Nuclear's daily QA3 or PTW's daily device. I don't have it showing right here because I'm not connected to an equipment hub, but that equipment hub is what we use to be able to import data. You just get a button here where you have the show trends and add comment. There's just a button that says get data, and you'd click on that and it'll bring in the day's data. And then there are things, like I said, there are certain pass-fail tests that you can enter here. And then up here on the right, you have two options once you are done or you get interrupted with your QA. You can save what you've done so far, or you can finalize QA. Just to let you see what that looks like when you go into finalize QA here, as well as in any test and multiple points, you have an opportunity to make a comment. It's a great way, it's one of those communication tools. Therapist wants to say, didn't do this test today because X was down. They can put that comment in, or they may put in please do a second check on whatever, and then they'll finalize QA. It'll also tell you whether all of the tests were completed or whether some of the tests have not been done. I'm not going to do that, so I'm just going to cancel out of it. When the schedules are done, we can go to it from here. Well, it's going to fall into the review QA. This is just going to be a list of the schedule items, whether it's a daily or monthly, or whatever schedule you choose. Whatever it's completed, it goes to this list. It gives you a nice quick view whether it passed or whether something in there failed. Again, the comments that it may have been entered when QA is finalized show up here. So again, it's a nice quick dashboard view. If I click into one of these, it looks like the information that we were just looking at in the data entry side. And again, you get your submenu of what tests were done, and you get, again, those green dots letting you know that it passed. It'll be a red dot if something didn't pass. And if, say, for example, your daily wedge run failed, you could click to that and it would go right to that section of your report. So because you notice we went into review, we clicked on a report, it took us straight over to the reports menu. So this is what the reports look like. The reports can be printed out. They can also be exported as a PDF, and the data is stored in the cloud. One of the questions we get is, who owns that data? You always own your data. Even if, say, you're using QA Pilot for 2 years, budgets being what budgets are, or changes in personnel or whatever, a decision is made to stop using the equipment hub here, you are allowed to, you won't renew your software as a service license, and the data will remain in the cloud accessible to you. You won't be able to perform anything new or trend anything new, but that data is always there. You can do a data dump from the cloud when or if you ever canceled, but that data is there, it belongs to you. So from here, those are the top 3 things that you're going to spend most of your time in, but as physicists, you give a hoot about how those templates are created. How is it that I'm actually managing my QA? You do that here, and as you see in this gray subsection, there's a lot of things that you can manage here, from, of course, your sites and machines to your users that are associated to them. My clicking is very slow here. Why is that not doing that? Okay, so again, here you have those Linics. If I wanted to edit something about the Linic, I could do that very simply here. Again, we have summaries everywhere. Really. You basically put in just basic information about the machine. Another question I'll preemptively ask it. One of the things people ask is whether TG51 is covered under QA Pilot. The answer to that is that it is coming, and as you'll see down here with reference dosimetry for TG51, this is one of those blocks of information that is needed to build out that functionality. So right now we're saying photon SSD is unassigned, but we can assign it electrons, and we can sign off on that change. And it's going to ask me to authorize that. Not sure if I'm logged in to do that. So it might be. Okay, sign off was successful. User and user roles. So we have predefined roles within the software, anywhere from a guest, which could be an auditor, to physics administrators and different levels between therapists, physicists, so on. You can change, they will be assigned that role. In the user roles, you also have the opportunity to define something new, because although, like with any software product, we have about 85% of what you want specifically for your center covered. But for example, here we added a role for a resident, but you still have to assign it then to which responsibilities, what is that individual allowed to do, and that's basically you match that to a core role, which is defined in our help section of the software. Measurement devices, you have the opportunity to do them as a system, so an ion chamber and electrometer, or as an individual device. And say we want to edit our X-ray and A12 for maple. Again, we keep it simple. What information you need there is quite small. Chamber type, wall thickness, cavity radius. This is all, again, important information for commissioning and TG51 information. So we have that there as well. You can add a task to say you know when it needs to be recalibrated. You just get it back, you know what your 2-year date is, you can enter the date here, assign the date for it to show up, for you to be notified. And yes, we have send notification on here, so you can say send in for recap, we can just do that, send in for calibration, give it a date, say it's at the end of the month, and we can add that task. And therefore you'll receive a notification when it's time for you to send in your device. Nice way to help you organize and be alerted to those things so they don't fall through the cracks. You manage your energies, so what Linic energies you actually have, and then so that's all the basic kind of things. The real gist of where this software started and why it is super not only relevant but very powerful is in the template section. So you'll see here we have some preset templates. These are ones that come with the software. And then you can create your own. So the premise, the way QA Pilot started was, it's like, okay, TG142 is realist. There are tables and tables of tests that need to be done. Some on a daily basis, some on a monthly, some annually. How are we going to organize all that? How are we going to accomplish all that in a neat way? So I'm just going to go into the daily one here, for example, because it's just easy to do. And it shows you the wonderful power of the software. So what we did was we started with literally every test that's in TG142, and those are available tests here on the left. And then it's a question of simply selecting what you actually want out of this entire list of TG142 tests that you want to do on a daily basis. Right now we have, 2 from the daily dosimetry. If I click the box up here, it's going to automatically select all of them. Or if I've got these daily ones checked, but say there's something in particular that I also want to check with a chamber instead of my beam checker, my beam checker plus, then I would want to do that here. Anything that's been added is added down here at the bottom. Any additions to an existing template are automatically added to the bottom. Well, we don't want daily at the bottom, we want it back up at the top. So you can do that. You can move it to the top. And here we are back with it being on top. I'm going to keep what we had, so I'm going to undo that. The other nice thing is you can not only organize sections, but you can organize individual tests. Say I want to do this radiation or the beam on indicator before I want to do my stereotactic interlock. So we're providing you with a tool to be able to organize your QA management to match the workflow of your department. We're not asking you to take all this pre-configured stuff and fit that square peg into your round hole of your particular workflow. You may have, if you have multiple locations, there may be different workflows at different locations. Here you, again, you get to set that up to what works best for each location, for each room, for each type of device that you're, or Linac you're managing. Now, again, like I said, with any old software, we figure that we have about 85% of tests covered, but we know that there are many unique things being done out there, things that are special or special regulation for your country that may not be applicable in the United States or things like that. So we also have a custom custom tests that you can create. I think if I go in and I manage one of these, it brings up, so with the custom tests, you can create groups of tests, or you can make individual tests. You can create, and the nice thing here is in the description, this is pretty much unlimited. So you can write the full procedure out in this description if you want for this particular type of test, or go see manual X, whatever it may be. You can define all of that in the description box, and then you define what kind of test type it is. And if you set it as a pass-fail test, you can also name those pass-fails. It doesn't necessarily have to be pass-fail. It could be door interlock on is the pass, door interlock off is the fail. So that you can, again, tweak that customization even more to work for yourself. So I wanted to bring that up. One of the other really nice things here, again, so then, how do those schedules become schedules? Those schedules become schedules because you go into the management tab for the schedules and you say add QA schedule. Well, out of all of those that have been created, you can then select which one you want to apply. You also can then define who it is that's going to be potentially performing this QA. Status and inactive, that is available throughout the software. You may have seen on other screens, a machine, a user, any of those things can be active or inactive. As personnel changes, as a Linac is decommissioned and you've got something new, so on and so forth. You give the schedule a particular name if it's different from the template. You also can add its frequency, and if the frequency, for example, is weekly, then you choose which day of the week it should normally be done. If you choose, for example, daily, then it asks you whether it is weekdays only or literally 7 days a week. It's meant to be done every day. Again, flexibility for you in creating those schedules. The machine log is also really cool. I think it's one of our more recent developments in the software. You may think of it generally in terms of machine log. You're probably thinking of the Linac itself, but actually for all those QA devices as well, you can add them as a vendor. As you see, we have standard imaging. If something goes wrong or I need a recal, so I need an RMA number to send it in, who is it I'm going to contact? I'm going to contact support, and here's their email. If you wanted to add a phone number, you could, of course, do that as well. And once you do that, if you go into machine log and you choose to log an event, now devices are tied to a Linac still, so we'll just say, okay, it's on the TrueBeam and it's our Beam Checker Plus. If we want to say service tracking, put in, a date. I'll just use the one that's default there. Give your, who is it that's reporting the issue? Put in a full description. Machine, is it actually down or not down? Because maybe it is, you get an error message, but you call into support and they solve that issue for you. But if it's determined in conversation with support that it needs to come in, you can go devices down. And now it's automatically saying, okay, when did it go down? And notice here that it automatically defaulted to notified vendor. As soon as we submit this, it's going to email support at Standard Imaging. FYI, I've got a problem with my device. It comes right into their email, and our support team is excellent at getting back to people within 24 hours at the outside, but they are very, very prompt at getting back to people as far as those things go. And that can go for any device that you have. anything that you have, you can log it that way. Recently, a customer also told me that they actually also use it to track what they're doing with patients if a machine is down. So patient can't be treated on X, we're moving them over to Y. That type of thing, so that they're sure that even though this is not a patient QA device in any way, this helps them manage the departmental workflow and what are we going to do with patients that can't be treated on a certain machine. That's one of the unique things about this product. The other one that I really want to hit on today is the document section. So what was I talking about when I was talking about improved communication or sending an auditor to QA pilot so they don't have to dig in your binders and find more questions to ask than you potentially want to answer? So QA pilot helps you do that in this document section. You can upload any type of document. It can be a spreadsheet, it can be an image, it can be a PDF, it can be a Word document. Literally pretty much anything you want to upload, you upload. You just do it by browsing where you want to do it. You can assign it to a site, you can assign it to a machine. The nice thing is it also has a rev number. So if you, for example, have a procedural protocol for the department and there's been a change to it, you can upload that document, you can give it its rev number, and then the communication piece comes in here where I can assign, we're going to say, do we require sign-offs for this document? We can say yes, and then we can decide who is it that needs to sign off on this. If it's a physicist, we can do that. If it's just for this cancer center, we can do that. If it's for both, we want it for all roles, assigned to this site, it's going to do that. You can give them a due date. It's going to send email notifications, and you're going to be kept up to date on this about whether people have actually signed off on something or not. And again, with so for like I said, right now TG142 is TG51 is not built in here. It's coming soon, but it's not quite there. You have an auditor coming in, you need to bring out the past quarter's data or the past year's data. You can literally save that from your spreadsheet as a PDF file, and upload your month's worth, quarterly, annual worth of data, and it's housed here in just QA Pilot. You can enter them as a guest, and they can view all of that documentation. They can review all of the reports from all of the QA that you've done here according to your schedules, what's passed, what failed, see all your comments. It's a really powerful tool that way, and helps everything keep organized. So those are really the main things I wanted to hit on today. Let me take a look and see if there are any questions. I don't see any yet, but I'll give you a minute or so to sort of digest that wealth of information I've just given you. And if you have any questions, please do put them in the chat, and I will be happy to answer them. Well, okay, I've given you a chance. I think I did try and answer some of those that generally come up during my presentation itself. That said, I know how it goes. As soon as we end this webinar, somebody's going to have a question. If you do, please feel free to email us. You can send any questions either to sales@standardimaging.com, support@standardimaging.com, or you can send them to me, which is AZENS, so AZENS @standardimaging.com, and I'm certainly happy to help you out. And again, I encourage you to contact us if you'd like to see more and delve into the real details of how we manage everything, how we actually set up custom tests, go into a deep dive. We will certainly schedule that for you and take care of you in that manner. And then lastly, I'll just say, if any of you are going to Estro, please do stop by our booth. We would love to see you there. And there is an opportunity as well to get a deep dive into the software. So thank you so much for attending. I truly appreciate your time in being here. And if there's anything else we can do for you here at Standard Imaging, please just let us know. Thank you.